Well, hello scrappers. Mike here, welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to start a project that I have been putting off for quite a while, just because it's always an unpleasant job. I need to process my old gold filters and my bits of paper towel that I've used to mop up little spills and drops of gold solution. It's built up to the point where I just need to get rid of it. I mean, I got a 2-gallon bucket full here. I've got a big Tupperware thing full of them over here, and they just need to be processed. It's built up. Now, it's an unpleasant job. I never look forward to doing this, and I don't get enough gold out of it to make it really, something I look forward to. I'm going to get some gold out of it, but it's not going to be easy gold. The first time I did this, way back when I first started out in refining, and I thought, well, okay, I've got all these filters built up. It looks like low-hanging fruit to me. I'll just process them and get some quick and easy gold out of them. No, it didn't work out that way. Not at all. There's everything in the world in these that I don't want in my gold, okay? Including some really nasty stuff. And it's really going to get in the way of getting the gold out of it. So it's always a nasty job. It's always unpleasant, but there's too much gold to just throw away. So we're going to do it, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. All right. So when it comes time for you to process your filters, you can either do it this way, or maybe you can find a better way. All right. If you find a better way, you let me know. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to incinerate all these, and a lot of them are already falling to pieces. I mean, some of the ones in this bucket here are years old. And after exposure to the chemicals, the paper gets brittle and it just falls to pieces. Yeah, it's more like pulp than paper at this point. And this stuff in here, this is newer and fresher, so it's still kind of more, for the most part, looking like paper. So let me get set up, and I'll show you how I'm going to do this, and we'll get started. Okay, so here's my setup. The first thing I need to do is incinerate this stuff to ash as best I can, alright? So I've got my foundry furnace here. I got a couple of short fire bricks on there. And I'm going to fire it up, not too high heat, and because this thing gets really hot even on low. And we'll put a generous charge of the filter material in the pot. Notice the pot has no plastic handles. It's all steel. So don't have to worry about the plastic handles melting off. I've got one of these grease screens like you use when you're cooking, and that's just gonna, I'm gonna set that on there, and that's just gonna prevent the wind, it's a little bit windy today, from blowing the fine bits of paper and ash out of here, because I want to keep that stuff so I can process it. So let me get a charge of stuff in here and we'll get started. I guess I'll start with some of this older material here. And a lot of it is still wet. And there's going to be all kinds of stuff in this. There's going to be tin. There's going to be silver chloride. I mean, you name it. It's going to be in here. There's going to be all kinds of solids. Just all kinds of nastiness. And it's going to be hard to get the gold back out of that. But we'll give it a shot. I have done it before. Yeah, this is about, I think, the third time I've processed my filters. Okay, let's get this fired up. Turn the heat down. Don't need quite that much. And let this start heating up and start burning that stuff. I'll get something to stir it with. And we'll get this party started. Alright, it's starting to heat up, getting some smoke going on. I'll give it a stir here in a little bit. And make sure everything in there gets thoroughly ashed. It's probably going to take a few minutes per load. And yeah, it may take a good part of the afternoon actually to work through all these filters I've got. We'll see. Trying to stay upwind of it. Well, I do get a whiff of it. The smell is very much like burnt fireworks, which, you know, there's a lot of the same chemicals in here as would be in fireworks. Nitrates. A lot of what's coming off at this point is just steam, because that stuff is damp and it's still drying out. The stuff on the bottom, the hottest part is charring, but we're not really getting good ashing going on yet. This really isn't much in the way of smoke. It's really just mostly steam at this point. Once it dries out, we'll start getting some serious burning and ashing out of it. Okay, things are really dried out. We're starting to get some serious burning going on in there, some charring. Give it another stir. And the wind's gotten up, so you can see why I use this thing. Now you may wonder why I store my filters wet. And it just makes it take longer to burn them, right? Well, I have heard, and this may be, you know, anecdotal, it may be nonsensical, I don't know, but I've heard that these filters are a spontaneous combustion hazard if they're allowed to dry out. I mean, they are paper that's been soaked in nitrates. So, yeah, I can see them being very flammable dry. And I see guys who have shelves full of their old filters. And I'm thinking, wow, that's just a massive fire waiting to happen. I store mine wet, or at least damp. And, you know, I don't really have to worry about spontaneous combustion that way, or accidental ignition. So, that's why I do it. It takes a little while longer to burn them, because they have to dry out first. But, it gives me peace of mind, okay? Okay, the filters have actually caught fire. And now that there's an actual flame in here, there's not near as much smoke. Ooh, it's hot though. But they're ashing up nicely. The volume is being reduced tremendously, which is exactly what I want. So we'll just keep this going. Flame will stay on with that on it. Partly on it. A little oxygen in there. But yeah, it's all working pretty darn well. This batch is almost done. A few more minutes, it'll be ready. Okay, this first batch is very thoroughly ashed. So let me dump it. It's just a fraction of the volume it was before. Dump it in there. And I'll get another charge in there. Keep the good times rolling here. Everything's good and hot. Get another batch in here. There's some BGA bottoms in there too. I don't really want to process those. I think I'll set them aside. They've already been through acid treatment, so there's not going to be anything valuable left in them. And they're not going to ash as well as the paper does. Okay, the second load has started burning on its own. And I probably can't catch them on camera because it's so bright out here in the sun, but the flames, beautiful colors to the flames, again from the chemicals those papers are soaked with, coloring the flame. But this stuff's ashing up nice, except for a few BGA bottoms, which made it in there. I didn't separate them all out. basically just fiberglass. These have been soaked in acid and all the metal's gone. I forgot that these wound up in my filter bucket, so they're pretty worthless. But this second batch is almost done. A couple more minutes. There's another one. A few more in there, I see. Yeah, they're not going to ash up. I'll just let this go for a few more minutes. Break up some of the big chunks. Ooh, that's hot. And then dump it off and start a third one. It's actually going quicker than I thought it would. Now that everything's good and hot, this stuff cooks off quick. Alright, third batch going in. I think I can do the rest of this. Another PGA top I don't want in there. Okay. So I probably have 2 more batches after this. This is going a lot quicker than I thought, which makes me happy. But you don't have to watch the rest of it. We'll just be back when it's all done, and I'm ready for further processing over at the fume hood. See if I can extract some gold from this stuff. So I'll see you then. All right, so it's the next day. This stuff's cooled down. Off camera, after I did the 5th and final load, I put all the stuff from the casserole dish back in here, left it up on the burner for a little while, stirred it around good, got it all good and red hot, and I just made sure it was all thoroughly ashed. And I don't know if you can actually see in there. It's dark, I know. There we go. There's the ash, okay? Nice and gray, thoroughly burned up. Just what I wanted. And the volume is tremendously reduced. I mean, we went from like 3.5 gallons of wet filters down to, oh, I don't know, maybe a liter and a half of fine fluffy ash. So perfect. That's exactly perfect. Okay. Okay, so now we got it ashed. So my goal is to get it in a beaker and get some nitric acid on it. But it's kind of chunky, kind of lumpy, kind of flaky. So I think I need to turn this into a fine slurry before I do that. Now I have options. I could put this in my ball mill and mill it until it's a fine powder. That's a possibility. Mighty Mill, nah, I don't think the Mighty Mill is a good choice for this stuff. I could force it through a fine screen, kind of like something like that. That sounds like work, and I'm generally kind of lazy. But, what if I use this on it? Put some water in here and use this on it. Hey, now we're talking. This should make us a nice fine slurry, bust up all the lumps and chunks in here, and with a minimum of effort. So I think that's what I'm going to try. We'll see how well it works. This is an experiment. I haven't done it this way before, and it might not work, but we'll find out together, huh? Alright, let me get this thing plugged in. Well, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to put some water in here. This is distilled water. Maybe around a liter's worth. And I'm going to try and turn this stuff into soup. Okay. Don't wear your good go-to-meeting clothes while you're doing this, because it's going to slosh a little bit. And this is some nasty stuff, let me tell you. Oh yeah, see, I'm getting it all over my arm here. Probably because I don't have enough liquid in here to totally submerge the head. But, you know, I don't really want that much liquid. How we doing here? Well, that's kind of working. think I'm going to have to put a little bit more liquid in it. Hopefully it'll still all fit in my big 3-liter beaker there. Oh, that's a little better. Okay, I'm calling that pretty well chopped up. Alright, now let's see if I can get it in this big 3-liter beaker. Oh yeah, with room to spare. Good. Good. Get all this lovely goo into the beaker, and we can start on trying to get the precious metals out of it. Might be some silver. There ought to be a little gold, though not a lot if I've been doing my job right. Just a little bit. Too much to throw away, maybe. Okay, good enough. All right, let me get this in the fume hood. We'll get started. Okay, before heading for the fume hood, I decided to just give it another little blend down here because I did see a few chunks go in. So we will give it a little more blending here, just to make sure that we got this stuff broken up as much as possible. Maximum amount of surface area that the acids can attack. And the particles, unfortunately, will be a lot finer, so they'll clog my filters later. Cost of doing business. All right, I think we're ready now to move on. Okay, got it in the fume hood. I'm gonna hit it with some nitric acid here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a little bit scientific about this. I don't want to hit it with too much at once. I know it's going to take a fair amount of nitric probably, but I don't want to hit it with too much at once. So this is about 50 milliliters right here. Then I'm afraid if I hit it too much at once, it may decide to boil over once it warms up. Okay, let's see, we got some heat on it. Give it a good stir here. Okay, we put a lid on it, and we'll just let this heat up. I am seeing a little bit of bubbling already. So I'm thinking once this heats up, let me turn the fume hood on. I'm thinking once this heats up, we're going to start seeing a pretty good reaction. So we'll let it warm up and see what happens. Well, it's probably not showing up on the camera, but I can start to see traces of orange-brown fumes in there. There's some bubbling going on. Not a lot. Slow, kind of sedate bubbling, but really this hasn't hardly even had a chance to warm up yet. Once it gets good and warm, I imagine the reaction will be a little fiercer. But it's starting. Alright, it's a little while later, it's warmed up some. Now we've got a really good reaction going. Exactly what I want to see. The purpose of this nitric acid boil is the nitric acid is going to dissolve any silver in there. It's also going to dissolve out base metals like copper, if there's any in there, which there probably is. And it should dissolve palladium. And what we'll be left with is gold and other platinum group metals besides palladium. And after the nitric acid boils, we'll take it to aqua regia and get those other metals out. But I'm going to let this go. This is looking like a really good reaction. This is nowhere near boiling hot, and all this bubbling is from the reaction of the nitric acid with the ash in there. And once this dies down, I'll probably hit it with another shot of nitric acid just to make sure I got all the base metals out of there and silver. So just gonna let it cook along. This is working good. Okay, this reaction's been going on for a couple hours now. Getting a lot less fuming. And I think we're boiling now rather than bubbling. I've just turned the heat down a little bit. And I'm gonna put another shot of nitric acid in here just to make sure that we get all of the base metals into solution. So this time about 25 milliliters, about half of what I put in before. And we'll just let that continue to cook and get those base metals into solution. Okay, this has been boiling on here for a couple more hours. The reaction's pretty much done. I'm just going to turn the heat off. It's late in the day. And we'll come back to this tomorrow. And move on to the next step. Well, the reaction over here is done. Off camera, I actually put another 20 milliliter shot of nitric acid in it, but really didn't get much reaction. So this has got what, 50, 20, 20, so 90 milliliters of nitric acid total have gone in here. Probably a little more than was needed. But look at this. This is beautiful, crystal clear blue liquid we've got here. Who'd have thought that nasty dark gray sludge could settle down and leave behind such a pretty blue liquid? We'll get this out of here and we'll test it for silver content. See if we got any silver in it. Okay, let's test this stuff and see if we got any silver in it. I've got some tap water here that I put a little splash of muriatic acid in. So let me get a sample of this blue liquid. If there's any significant amount of silver in it, we should see a white cloud when it goes into this beaker. Well, it's looking like maybe don't have any real amount of silver in there, because that is still pretty darn clear. So I'm thinking any silver that was in here was bound up as silver chloride in those filters, and is probably on the bottom of the beaker down here. We did get some copper or something out with the nitric acid boils, but apparently we didn't get any silver out. Okay, so we got no silver. I think it highly unlikely, but before I discard this liquid into my waste bucket, I'm going to test it for the presence of palladium, just to see if we have any detectable amount of palladium in it. Again, I think that's highly unlikely. Yeah, we got a big fat nothing here. Okay, probably just a little bit of copper in solution, maybe some iron and a few other things, but no silver or precious metals. So this stuff can get dumped into my waste bucket, and we'll move on to processing the sludge on the bottom. Okay, got the ash back in the fume hood. I've decanted off that blue liquid and rinsed the solids to get as much out of it as I can. Rinsed it with distilled water. It's time for Aqua Regia. I'm going to start with muriatic acid. This is actually almost empty, so yeah. I'm going to hit it with some from a fresh bottle. And that's probably pretty good. This stuff a stir, because it does tend to, the material's very fine, but once it settles, it does tend to compact into a semi-solid mass on the bottom. Alright, so now we need some nitric acid. There's about 3 milliliters. 6. 9. I'm going to go with 12 for now. And see what that does once this heats up a bit, because it's all stone cold right now. See if we get any kind of decent reaction. Yeah, mix that all in. Put a little heat to it, and we'll see what happens. And when we get a reaction, once it dies down, I'll probably put a little bit more nitric in it just to make sure. Got any gold in solution? There might be other stuff in there too. It's going to eat up the nitric, so I want to make sure I don't under nitric it. I want to get any gold that's in there in solution. Also any platinum group metals, although dissolving them in the aqua regia is problematic. But we'll do the best we can. So, okay. This has got to heat up and we'll see what happens. Okay, it has literally been like 35 seconds. Okay, and this has not had a chance to warm up at all, and already got some pretty good bubbling going on in there. Of course, it's making a liar of me now. As soon as I turned the camera on, it stopped. Ah, there goes one. Look at that. This is all stone cold. Look at that bubbling. I think I'm starting to see some orange fumes too. Alright, so there's something in there reacting with the aqua regia pretty good. Oh yeah, look at that bubbling. It's all still stone cold. Yeah. So hopefully that's gold going in solution. I'm gonna believe it is. I guess we'll find out later. Yeah, definitely getting some orange fumes. So I guess we'll find out later. We'll do a stance test on it and see what we got going in solution. But hopefully it's cold. Okay, so gotta let it warm up. I mean, imagine how vigorous it's gonna be once it actually gets warm. It's only been a few more minutes. It's just starting to warm up, and look at this vigorous reaction we got going on. Wow. There's something in there strongly reacting with the aqua regia. I'm thinking finely divided gold. I'm hoping finely divided gold. We'll see. So I'm going to let this reaction go to completion and probably put another squirt of nitric acid in and see what happens. But this is going good. I'm liking the looks of this. Well, I guess we're about 45 minutes in. Got a really vigorous reaction going on now. So, just going to let it continue to cook until I don't see any more orange-brown fumes coming off. Okay, it's been a little over an hour, I guess. The reaction's really slowing down. So I'm going to put another squirt or two of nitric acid in there and just see what happens. So there's another 3 milliliters. I don't see a dramatic increase in activity. There's about another heavy 1.5 or 2 milliliters. I think I'm going to leave it at that for now and see if we get a lot of fuming again. I don't want to over nitric it too much, but I want to make sure I get all that metal in there into solution. So we'll see what that does. Give it a little bit and see if the reaction picks up any. I think it's increased a little bit, but certainly not dramatically. Well, it's been, I don't know, 5 minutes, and the reaction's, well, a little underwhelming. We got some more fuming going on, but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of extra bubbling beyond the low boil we got going on. So I'm thinking that amount of nitric acid I put in there was probably not only enough, it may have been a bit too much. But I'm going to let this continue to cook until I see no more fuming, and it just looks like it's just boiling. No other reaction going on. And then I'll denox it, because there will probably be some extra nitric acid in there. Ice it, cool it down, and then we can filter it and see if we can drop any gold out of it. So, but I'm going to let this continue to cook for now, and make sure all the metal in there goes into solution, at least as much of it as I can get in. Alright, it's been about another 45 minutes, and it looks like the reaction is done. Got my usual saturated solution of sulfamic acid here. Going to denox it. Got a little bit of spare nitric acid in there, not terrible. Alright. Not a huge amount of foaming. Like you see, if you've got a huge excess of nitric acid and you put sulfamic in. You turn the heat off, and I'll go get some ice. We'll ice this down, cool it down, then we'll be able to filter off this liquid. Alright, here goes the ice. And we'll leave that to cool down and dilute before we filter it. And it's getting late in the day, got friends coming over for dinner, so I'll probably leave this till morning. That'll give plenty of time for the solids to settle to the bottom and hopefully have a layer of clear liquid on top, which will make filtering a little quicker. Alright, this stuff has had a chance to sit and settle out overnight. The liquid is nice and clear and not nearly as green as I was afraid it would be. It's green, don't get me wrong, but it's not like super strong lime green Kool-Aid. So this actually looks pretty good. I hope there's a decent amount of gold in it. We'll pull it out of the fume hood here in a bit and give it a Stannis test. Hopefully there's gold in it. Then we'll filter this liquid, wash the pregnant solution out of the sludge on the bottom, and we'll drop the gold and see how much gold we get. Okay, let's do a stannous chloride test on this stuff and then get it filtered. So my stannous chloride's a little long in the tooth. It's been sitting around a while. It's time to make some new. When it starts turning yellow, you know it's time to replace your stannous chloride, but hopefully we can get one more test out of it. I'll make some more later. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we got some gold in there. Good deal. Alright, let's get this filtered. I expect this filtration will take a while. Although I did just find and fix a vacuum leak I had in my system. But still, once these solids get in there, they're going to plug the filter up really good. And this filtration is going to slow down to a crawl. Might take a good part of the afternoon. So I'm going to try and get this clear fluid through first. Then get the solids in there and wash the pregnant solution out of them. So, yeah, that's coming through nice. That's coming through nice. It's not as green as it looked in the fume hood. It's actually nice and yellow. We'll see what it looks like in bulk. Sometimes once it's a couple inches thick, the green color starts showing through better. Well, we'll see. But that's actually looking pretty decent at the moment. Okay, got all the liquid through, and it is nice looking. It is crystal clear, and it is the right color. I'm liking the looks of that. Just got the solids dumped into there, and well, yeah, filtration's slowing down to a crawl as I expected. So it's going to take a while to get, you know, the solids washed free of the pregnant solution. It's still coming through quite yellow. So I'm going to have to do a lot of distilled water rinses on the solids in there, get all the pregnant solution out. Probably going to take quite a while, but what are you going to do? Alright, we'll be back when that's done. I'll get this beaker over here cleaned up that this goop came out of, and I can pour it back in it and we'll drop the gold. So I'll be back when we're ready to drop some gold. Okay, well, getting the liquid through the solids hasn't taken as long as I thought it would, although the weather's going to crap, so hopefully it'll get done before the thunderstorms start. I'm just at the phase now of washing the color out of the filter and the last of the color out of the remains in there. Great, I'm producing more filters as I'm processing my filters, so already my filter box is going to start filling up. But we're getting there. Shouldn't be much longer, and I should be able to get this into a clean beaker and drop the gold. Well, this is an interesting development. Washing the yellow out of the remains in here has taken just an insane amount of distilled water so far, and I'm not done yet. I've switched over to my second vacuum flask because I pretty much filled this one up, and it's still coming through yellow. So, wow. This is an unexpected development. But I will just keep rinsing until it's not coming through yellow anymore. Because yellow is the color of gold, and I don't want to throw any gold away. So we may end up with, who knows, 3 liters of liquid to process here, to drop gold out of. Oh well, I don't care. Just keep rinsing. Okay, that took a lot of rinsing, but the liquid's finally coming through clear. So I'm just going to let the vacuum pull the rest of the liquid through. Once it stops dripping, I'll dump the contents of both these flasks into this big 3-liter beaker here, and we'll take it in the fume hood and we'll drop the gold with some SMB and see what we get. This is actually looking better than I was expecting, okay? But it is 3 years worth of filters, at least 3 years. And this actually went smoother than I was expecting too, because the last couple of times I've done it, it's been pretty difficult, giving me a lot of trouble. But so far, we haven't crossed the finish line yet, but so far, this is working pretty good. Okay, wow, that was a lot of filtering, but we've got our nice clean liquid in here in the fume hood, which let me get started. All right, because we're about to put some stuff out in by Boney, which contains sodium metabisulfite, which we need to drop the gold out of solution. So let's get some of this in here. See just how much gold we can get out of here. Now, everything's gone just absolutely smoothly up till now. Well, it's still going pretty smooth. Look at that, we're getting a color change. But I expect that this is going to be an ugly, dirty gold drop because everything in the world is in those filters. And I expect this to probably be colloidal gold. But we shall see. Like I said, everything's gone so well up till now. Maybe I will be pleasantly surprised by this gold drop, but I'm not going to get my hopes up too high. I got a feeling it's probably going to be colloidal. So, and I know I'm saying the word wrong, sorry. But we'll see what it looks like after it settles. Alright? So, probably going to be tomorrow because the weather's coming in fast and it's ugly. So I'm going to retreat to the house, probably come out tomorrow morning and see what we got. Well, it's been about an hour and a half, and just as I thought, I mean, you can see, maybe you can see it's starting to clear from the top a little bit, but the gold is settling very, very slowly. It's colloidal gold. So probably, you know, from base metal contamination and who knows what else was in those filters. So this is going to be pretty ugly. This stuff's going to take forever to settle. It's going to be too fine to deal with. So we'll see what it looks like in the morning. Well, it's the next day. The gold has all settled to the bottom. That took a very long time. This is some super fine stuff in here. Colloidal. So, yeah, it was, you know, something in the liquid was preventing it from consolidating together into nice bigger flakes. Looks like a decent amount of gold though, but you know, it's hard to say. It always looks decent when it's on the bottom of the beaker wet. So I don't know if this stuff's going to clean up or not. I don't have high hopes for it. I might end up redissolving it in a little splash of aqua regia and reprecipitating it. That might be the best thing to do, but first I got to separate it from the waste liquid. So I am going to siphon off the waste liquid into my temporary stock pot, and then we'll deal with the gold on the bottom. So let me get set up for that. Okay, let's commence the siphoning, because got the better part of 3 liters of liquid here. This is going to take a little while. I won't make you watch all of it. Just get a good start on it here. So I'm going to siphon it into my temporary stock pot down here, which is just a 2.5 gallon bucket that I siphon my gold liquids into first. Siphon or decant, whichever. Before this stuff goes into my main stock pot, I'll let it sit in here. And it gives it a chance for any fine gold remaining in solution to settle out to the bottom of this bucket. Any gold I pull over during the siphoning or decanting will settle out in this bucket, and periodically I will dump this bucket, or the liquid content of this bucket, into my main stock pot, and I will clean the gold out of the bottom of this bucket. It's a lot easier to get out of this bucket than the main stock pot. Try not to suck up too much of this fine gold off the bottom here. Does want to get mobile. Get the last of this liquid off the gold. I'll give you a look at it. See what it looks like on the bottom of the beaker. That's about as much as I dare siphon off without sucking up a lot of that fine gold. So, okay, so I will pull this down and I'll give you a look inside, and then I'll decide what to do with it. I want to just give it few boils in water and muriatic acid. I think that'll clean it up, or do I need to just redissolve it? So let's have a look. So here's the gold. It really does kind of look like a fair amount. I don't know, it's trying to consolidate. Maybe I should transfer it to a smaller beaker and just give it some boils and see if it'll consolidate into something a little less colloidal. I think I'll try that. You know, if it doesn't go well, I've still got the option of just redissolving it and reprecipitating it. So, yeah, let me get this into a smaller beaker, get it back in the fume hood, and we'll give it some boils and see what happens. Well, I've transferred the gold to a smaller beaker, and I have to say I am really surprised, given how long this stuff took to settle, how good it looks. I mean, it looks pretty darn good. This might actually clean up with a few boils, so I'm gonna put it on the heat and give that a try. Yeah, that looks like darn good stuff, actually. I am surprised. Okay, so let me get the fume hood on the heat. All right, I am just flabbergasted at how well this gold seems to be consolidating in just a distilled water wash. I thought for sure it was going to go all back into the water column and be cloudy and all, but no, it's all consolidating. Wonderful. That's a sign of fairly clean gold, which I am surprised about. Gold likes to stick to itself when it's clean. When there's a lot of contaminants, it doesn't want to stick to itself, and it wants to stay a fine powder. So cool. Okay, let me pull this off. Decant off this first batch of rinse water, put some fresh water on it, and I'll give it another boil and see how it looks. Okay, so here's the gold after 3 good boils. It's all consolidated really nice. It's pretty good looking, actually. I'm just going to dry it out so we can get a weight on it and see what we got here. Okay, let's see how much gold we got out of that. It's all dried up here, and wow, I just can't get over how good it looks considering the starting material and how colloidal it looked when it first settled out. But boy, it consolidated nice. Ooh, there's a fair amount of gold here. Well, that's 3 years worth of filters, so a little over 1.25 grams a year, I guess, I'm letting slip by me. That's not too bad, I guess. All right, 3.82 grams from processing those filters. Excellent. And it went surprisingly easy. I was dreading it, but every step of the way it just went pretty well. I guess I'm getting better at this with age, huh? Alright, well, if you found this video at all interesting, educational, informative, whatever, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to see my future videos. And check out my second channel, ElectroGeek64. There's a lot of good stuff going on over there if you're into electronics or retro computing, so check it out. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching this one. Bye.